In this tutorial, we will use Design Modeler to build the bracket shown here. After changing the orientation of the coordinate system as we did in the previous lessons, we'll select the geometry icon to start a new project. This time we'll select inch as the working length unit and then click on OK. Now we'll position the cursor on the XZ plane label and then click the right mouse button and select the Look At option. We'll now begin to sketch the profile of our bracket by first selecting the Sketching tab, followed by clicking on the Line option. We'll now draw the two lines shown here. We need to add a fillet between the two lines, so we'll now click on Modify and then Fillet. In order to place the fillet, we'll select the first line and then the second line as shown here. Next, we'll start the dimensioning process by selecting the Dimensions option and then use the General option to dimension the two lines. Next, we'll use the Angle tool and then select the first line and then the horizontal axis, followed by clicking the mouse at the desired location for the label. For the last dimension, we'll select the Radius tool and then click on the fillet and then move the cursor to the position where the dimension will be placed, and then click the mouse. The values of the dimensions are next modified by clicking on their values in the Detail View area and keying in the desired values as shown here. At this point, we'll save our work by clicking on the Project tab, and then from the File menu, we'll choose the Save All option. We'll now return to Design Modeler by clicking on its tab. Our next step involves creating an offset copy of the current sketch, so we'll select the options Modify and then Offset. Next, we'll select the first line, the fillet, and then the second line. Now we'll click the right mouse button and then, in the pop-up menu, select the option End Selection, Place Offset. We'll now move the cursor above the original copy and click the left mouse button, followed by pressing the Escape key to end this process. Our next step is to close the ends of the sketch by using the Line tool in the Draw toolbox as shown here. We'll now define the thickness of the profile by using the General option in the Dimensioning toolbox to place a dimension, and then set its value in the Details View area. Since this completes the sketch of the profile, we'll now start to define the extrusion by clicking on the Extrude option. In order to reorient the view, we'll next click on the isometric icon. The next step is to define the depth of the extrusion by setting the value of the parameter FD1 depth listed in the Details View area to a value of 2. And then finally, we'll click on Generate to complete the extrusion. We now need to add two holes in the bracket, so we'll start by defining a new sketch plane for the first hole. In the Tree Outline area, we'll select the project icon and then click on the Create drop-down menu and select the New Plane option. The following changes must now be made to the parameters listed in the Details View area. The type is set to From Face. Next, we'll click on the highlighted line Base Face and then click on the top face of the horizontal portion of the bracket, followed by clicking on Apply in the Details View area. We now need to change the reverse normal z-axis to yes, so that the normal vector of the new plane points into the part. And then finally, we'll click on Generate to complete the definition of the new plane. We'll now select the Draw and Circle options and sketch a circle on the new sketch plane by clicking once to define the center and then moving the cursor until the circle is the desired size, and then again click. In order to define the exact location and size of the circle, we'll use the Dimensions option. We'll first select Diameter and click on the hole in order to define its size. Next, we'll define the location of the center of the hole by selecting the Length Distance option, and then click on the center of the circle, followed by clicking on the edge of the face, and then clicking at the location to place the dimension. We'll now repeat this process to create a dimension that locates the center of the circle from the other edge. Finally, we must change the dimension values that are currently listed in the Details View area to their correct values. Since our sketch of the circle is now complete, we'll now begin the process of extruding it into a cylinder by first selecting the Extrude button. Next, in the Details View area, we'll change the operation setting to be Cut Material. And then we'll change the parameter Direction to be Normal, followed by clicking on Generate. Since the steps involved in creating the second hole are the same as those used for the first hole, we will move through them very quickly. First defining a new sketching plane, and then drawing a circle on the new sketch plane, and then finally extruding the circle into a cylinder which is subtracted from the bracket.